Welcome to the Martini Mortgage Podcast, episode 122, called It's Not a Bubble, It Is Opportunity. My name is Kevin Martini, and I'm a certified mortgage advisor, NMLS 143962, and producing branch manager of the Martini Group at the Cardinal Financial Company, NMLS number 66247. Many have very vivid memories of the housing renaissance because they lived through it and were impacted by it. Some recall the real pain that someone they cared about went through during 2008. And with home values appreciating by over 10% in 2020, and home values continuing to rise this year, will there be a rinse and repeat of the housing renaissance, or what some call the bubble? I'm sad that many have concerns about the current market. They should not, because we are, in my opinion, a true opportunity in the housing market. And there is a true opportunity financing real estate with epic mortgage rates. Yes, money is available and it is cheap. And on the aggregate, homes are still affordable. I get it. With the increase of home values, this has some voicing concerns that we may be in another housing bubble like the one we experienced a little bit over a decade ago. But with respect, they are incorrect based on the data. 2021 is nothing like 2008. It's not a bubble. It is opportunity. Here are 3 Kevin Martini reasons why we are not going to go through a housing renaissance like we did in 2008, and why we are not in a bubble. Today is materially different, and today there's unprecedented opportunity. With that said, let's dive into the Kevin Martini 3 reasons it's not a bubble and why the current market is an opportunity. Number 1 is supply. Right now, housing supply is extremely limited. As a primer, the price of any item is determined by the supply and demand. If supply is high and demand is low, prices normally decrease. If supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. In 2008, supply was high and demand was low. However, today, demand is high and supply is low. In the real estate arena, the balance of supply and demand is measured by months' supply of inventory, which is based on the number of current homes for sale compared to the number of buyers in the market. The normal month's supply of inventory for the market is about 6 months. 6 months is considered a balanced market. Anything above that defines a buyer's market, indicating that prices most likely will soften. Anything below that means it's a seller's market in which prices normally appreciate. Between 2006 and 2008, the month's supply of inventory increased from just over 5 months to 11 months. The month's supply was over 7 months in 27 of those 36 months. Yet home values continued to rise. Months inventory on a national level at the time of this recording currently stands at 2.4 months. Near historic lows is 2.4 months. Remember, if supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. Number 2 is real demand. Right now, the demand for housing is real and is based on needs, not speculation, like it was during the housing boom. During the housing boom in the mid-2000s, there was what many pundits call irrational exuberance. What is irrational exuberance? The definition is, and I quote, unfounded market optimism that lacks a real foundation of fundamental valuation, but instead rests on psychological factors, end quote. Without considering historical market trends, people got caught up in the frenzy and bought houses based on an unrealistic belief that the housing values would continue to escalate. Sadly, my industry, the mortgage industry, fed into this craziness by making mortgage money available to just about anyone. I mean, literally, if you had a pulse, you were eligible to get a mortgage. In the current real estate market, demand is real, not fabricated. Let me say it again. Right now, demand is real and is based on need, not speculation. I know what you're asking. Kevin Martini, why is it real right now? It is real right now because of the millennials. Millennials are the largest generation in the country, and they have come to age. They are marrying and having children. By the way, marriage and parenthood are two major drivers of homeownership. As a side note, on the topic of demand, the pandemic has challenged every household to redefine the meaning of home and reevaluate whether their current home meets their new definition. This desire to own, coupled with historic low mortgage rates, make purchasing a home today a strong and sound financial decision. Therefore, today's demand is very real. Always keep this top of mind. If supply is low and demand is high, prices naturally increase. Number 3 is equity. Right now, there is plenty of equity in homes, and this is not the case when we went through the housing boom. Again, during the housing boom, it wasn't just purchasers who got caught up in the frenzy. Existing home owners started using their homes like an ATM. There was a wave of cash out refinances, which enabled homeowners to leverage their equity in their home. During the period of 2005 to 2007, Americans pulled out $824 billion in equity. That left many homeowners with little or no equity in their homes at a critical time. As prices begin to drop, some homeowners found themselves in a negative equity situation where their mortgage was higher than the value of their home. Many defaulted on their payments, which led to an avalanche of foreclosures. Let's fast forward to today. The banks and the American people have shown they have learned a valuable lesson from the housing crisis. Cash out refinance volume over the last 3 years was less than a third of what it was compared to the 3 years leading up to the market correction. This approach has created levels of equity never seen before. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, over 38% of owner-occupied housing units are owned free and clear. In other words, 38% of owner-occupied housing units have no mortgage. I read a report recently that said that under 18 million residential properties in the U.S. were considered equity rich. The article defined equity rich as the amount of loans secured by those properties was 50% or less of the estimated market value. Equity-rich properties in the first quarter of 2021 represented just under 32%, or about 3 1 out of 3 of the 55 million mortgage homes in the U.S. If we were to combine the 38% of homes that are owned free and clear with the ones that have about at least 50% equity, 31.9% of the remaining 62% with a mortgage, we will see that close to 58% of all homes in the country have a minimum of 50% equity. That's significantly better than the equity situation in 2008. Let me wrap up this episode of the Martini Mortgage Podcast. It's not a bubble. It is opportunity. Today, housing supply is drastically lower. Demand is real, and buyers are rightly motivated. Let us assume there is a typical market correction for conversation. If home prices were to drop, homeowners have enough equity to be able to weather the dip in home values. The current real estate market and mortgage market of today is nothing like 2008. In fact, it is the exact opposite. My name is Kevin Martini, and I'm a certified mortgage advisor and branch manager of the Martini Group at Cardinal Financial Company, which is located in Raleigh, North Carolina. However, we help families all over the U.S. We provide the families we serve with trusted advice with a frictionless digital mortgage process that provides certainty. You may have questions about what you have heard in this episode of the Martini Mortgage Podcast, and that is awesome. I am here to help you, and I invite you to call me directly at 919-238-4934 because I believe there is never a substitution for getting educated on the process of buying a home and getting a mortgage. Thank you for listening, and please share this episode of the Martini Mortgage Podcast with someone you care about, and thank you in advance for leaving a 5-star review. Now it's time for the disclosure. This material has been prepared for marketing purposes only. This is not a loan commitment or guarantee of any kind. Loan approval and rates are dependent upon a borrower's credit, collateral, financial history, and program availability at time of origination. Rates and terms are subject to change without notice. Corporate address 3701 Art Code, Corporate Drive, Suite 200, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28273. Cardinal Financial Company, Limited Partnership, NMLS 6266247. For a list and more license information, please visit https://cardinalfinancial.com/licensing. Equal housing opportunity. For more information about Kevin Martini and the Martini Group at Cardinal Financial, visit www.martinimortgage.com or call 919-238-4934.